Datasets in today's data-driven world are usually quite large, often extremely large. They can have many thousands or even millions of rows of data. This size is an advantage. It allows you to partition datasets into different parts, usually called training sets, testing sets, and optionally, prediction sets. The training set typically includes the bulk of the data, for example, 80% of the cases. This dataset is used to estimate a prediction model, in this case a neural net. Specifically, NeuralTools uses the data in the training set to estimate the parameters of a neural net so that the prediction errors when predicting the values of the dependent variable in the training set are reasonably small. The testing dataset, which typically includes about 20% of the data, is then used to see how well the trained net predicts data that it wasn't trained on. The values of the dependent variable in the testing data should be known. They can then be compared with the predictions to see whether the accuracy is as good, or at least nearly as good, in the testing set as in the training set. Some deterioration in accuracy is expected because the training process is influenced by idiosyncrasies of the training data. However, if the accuracy in the testing data is significantly worse, this is a sign that the neural net is not likely to generalize well to new data. Sometimes a third data set, a prediction set, is available where the values of the dependent variable are not known. Then NeuralTools can use the trained net to make live or static predictions for the cases in the prediction set. Live predictions are useful because they let you see how the predictions change if the values of the independent variables change. They also let you replace one trained net with another to see how the predictions change. NeuralTools provides several options for partitioning. Probably the most common option is to start with one large data set and then ask NeuralTools to set aside a randomly selected set of cases for testing. The rest are used for training unless some have missing values of the dependent variable. These latter cases, the first 4 in the data set shown here, can be used for prediction. This is the same auto-loan data used in several example files, but it has a few extra cases for prediction. To partition a single dataset in this way, you first designate the dataset as a NeuralTools dataset with the Dataset Manager, and then you click the Train button and fill out the Train tab in the resulting dialog box as shown here. In this case, a randomly selected 20% of the cases with known values of the dependent variable are used for testing. If you check the Select Same Cases as long as this number is the same option, you can force the same cases to be selected for testing in repeated runs. The number to its right is a fixed random number seed that you can set. If the Automatically Test on Randomly Selected Cases option is unchecked, no testing cases will be used. This means that all cases with known values of the dependent variable will be used for training. This is a reasonable option if your dataset is small or if you have another dataset you plan to use for testing. If you check the Automatically Predict Missing Dependent Values option, the two options below are enabled. The first lets you enable live as opposed to static prediction, and the second places predictions directly in the missing cells of the dataset. If you don't check the Automatically Predict Missing Dependent Values option, cases with missing values of the dependent variable will be ignored. A second option for partitioning is to use a tag variable. This is a special type of variable with only 3 possible values: train, test, and predict. The purpose value you see here is an example. When you designate this variable as a tag variable in the Dataset Manager, NeuralTools automatically chooses the training, testing, and prediction sets according to the values in the tag variable. This gives you control over how each case is used. In this case, the training dialog box changes as shown here. A third partitioning option is to use 3 separate data sets, one for training, one for testing, and one for prediction. They can be in the same file, in the same worksheet, or in different worksheets, or they can be in separate files. In this case, they are in the same file, and they are in separate worksheets. Then you will probably uncheck the 2 automatically options in the training dialog box. And you will click the Test button on the NeuralTools ribbon for testing and the Predict button for prediction. These latter options are covered in more detail in a companion video in this guided tour series.